Hi everyone, this is Elena of the Witches Box, and I'm here today with another episode of Witch Booktube. And today is the third of my reviews on the books that we have sent out for the Witches Book Box subscription. So if you don't know what that is, we have a book subscription here along with our Witch Box subscription. So we have two subscription services, and this one in particular is where you get 2 books sent to you each month, along with access to our forum so that you can talk with other people, like a book club where we're all reading the same book together each month and have dialogue around the books. And at the end of each month, when I can wrangle the authors with us, we get together live on a Zoom call and talk with one another and talk with the authors of the books that we've read. So for $30 a month, you get all of those things, and it has been a beautiful journey so far. This is our 3rd month. Actually, as I create this video, we're entering into our 4th month. It has been magical because if you've been around this YouTube channel for a little bit of a while, you know that I am obsessed with reading and obsessed with books, especially witch books where we go into witchcraft and spirituality in a deeper, more advanced way beyond the Witchcraft 101 books that are so ubiquitous out there in the world today. So today, the books that I'm talking about were the books that we sent out December 1st. The first one is The New Aradia, A Witch's Handbook to Magical Resistance, and it was edited by Laura Tempest Zakroff. And the other book that we sent out was Magic for the Resistance by Michael M. Hughes. There it is, Rituals and Spells for Change. When these books went out, quite a few people who were subscribed to the box were like, what? Politics? What are we doing? I don't know that I want to do this. In fact, I think someone unsubscribed. I mean, this is the truth. Someone unsubscribed because of it. It was interesting, but it was expected. And we talked a little bit about this in the forum, and I spoke to it, not at length, but made a point to talk about it. Here's what I want to share with you before I get into these books, because it speaks to what my vision is for the Witches Book subscription and what my overall vision is for the Witches Box in general. But here's the thing. My goal with this subscription service isn't to send you books that you're going to be like, woo, and love in a big way from the minute you open the box. That is not my goal. My goal is to create a worldwide network of witches who are educated, who understand what the current conversations are in witchcraft and spirituality, and also to create for you an opportunity to read things that challenge you, that read things that you may not agree with, but read things that you are better off understanding so that you can make more informed and more empowered choices about how you want to show up in your witchcraft community, how you want to practice, and how you want to identify as a witch in the world. It's heady goals, but listen, that's my mission. That is what this subscription is about. It's not about let's just collect a bunch of rainbow and butterfly books on our shelves. It's about growth and learning and expansion. And those goals require that there are going to be times when you're challenged, when you're a little uncomfortable, but that is why we have the forum and the live gatherings at the end of the month so that we can talk about it and we can practice. This is also part of the goal, so that we can practice what it's like to be in dialogue with one another if we disagree. Because we are living in a world where just the hint of disagreement suddenly means that we have to cut people off, turn people off and down and cancel and react in an incredibly limiting and destructive way. There are ways where we can disagree and have dialogue that help us all learn about who we are, who the others are, and a better idea of what is really happening in the world. That is part of the goal. So I knew that I was going to get pushback because these are books on politics, and we are now living in a world where we're so defensive about politics. I think no matter where we are on the planet at this point, and when we are defensive, we shut down, we close off, and we don't even want to be in dialogue about it. We don't even want to know about it. We are in a space of willful ignorance because the topic is uncomfortable. And I want to push past that because people who are self-possessed, people who are living in the present and responding to their stimuli as opposed to reacting to the stimuli are powerful witches. This is part of becoming more powerful when you are not checking out of your situation or your circumstance or the dialogue out of defensiveness, but rather when you stand firm, you show up present, and you're able to respond from a place of clear-mindedness, you are infinitely more powerful in every single aspect of your life. I am not exaggerating. This is a truth. This is what we read, and there was so much to learn. And there's another lesson in that listen, when I saw these, part of me was like, man, I'm exhausted. I just don't even know that I want to have this conversation with anyone as part of the Witches Box or as part of my family or as with my friends, because it is exhausting. However, shutting down this book because I was exhausted would have kept me from a wealth of information that goes well beyond the where do you stand in the political spectrum today. Don't shut yourself off out of reaction because you miss out on a lot of learning. Okay, all of that, I'm going to close that down because it's a lot of lecturing, but this is what we're about. This is what I am about and what I'm intending to create in the world through this subscription. So let me read to you the bios for Laura. Laura's at Tempest Zakharoff. I keep saying this. We love her. We have featured her books in a variety of different ways throughout the last, I think, year and a half. This is a book that she edited, so it's like an anthology. It's a compilation of different writers that she gathered together under a topic. Also, by the way, she showed up at the live gathering at the end of this last month, this last month, to be part of the dialogue of the books. Laura Tempest Zakharoff is a professional artist, author, dancer, and designer. She has been a practicing modern traditional witch for over 2 decades and is also a member of NECTW, which is the New England Covens of Traditionalist Witches. Laura holds a BFA from the Rhode Island School of Design and trained at Fleischer Art Memorial in Philadelphia and the South Carolina Governor's School for the Arts. Her work has received awards and honors worldwide and has been published in numerous books and magazines. That's Laura's bio, and Michael's bio is here. Michael M. Hughes is an author, speaker, magical thinker, and activist. He is the creator of the internationally viral Spell to Bind Donald Trump, the largest magical working in history. He speaks on politics, magic, pop culture, psychedelics, the paranormal, and tarot. Michael lives in Baltimore, Maryland with his wife and 2 daughters, and you can find him at www.michaelmhughes.com. So those are the author bios, and I just forgot something that I actually haven't been doing in the videos since then, but the lipstick, this like berry lipstick, because if you've been watching, you know that the lipstick keeps coming up. This is by Almay, and it's called Get Crazy, the color. And it's in this really cool cardboard component. Really cute, really flowery, really sweet. It's super moisturizing. I really like it. I got this at a drugstore, which I think is where Almay normally sells their product. I love it. I love berry colors. And so there it is. Back to the books. So the new Aradia is a compilation of authors' ideas, practices, poetry, rituals, and spells around political activism, how to nourish yourself after being out in the trenches and feeling the drain and exhaustion of being out there fighting for the good of whatever. You know, often there can be the sense of hopelessness, there can be the sense of this isn't working, and it is incredibly draining. And when you put yourself out there politically, as you all know, people can get attacked relentlessly, and so there's a lot of addressing of that. But one of the things that I loved about this book and why I chose it is because it introduces Aradia as a goddess, daughter of Diana, who is like the patron goddess deity of those who fight for the betterment of the common man or common woman or common people. And so I really loved this because it brought in and it wove in working with deities specifically for this type of work, but also being empowered. And this is my interpretation of it. This is how I feel it, but having ground on which to stand in order to fight for the betterment of the planet, for other people, for yourself. I feel like Aradia is that ground. It's kind of an abstract thing to say. It's hard to explain, but when you work with deities, sometimes the sense is that they are a fire that carry out intention and carry out transformation in fast and cathartic ways. And some deities, when you work with them, it feels like you have a strong, unmovable ground underneath you from which to do things. I always experience Aradia to be that. Everyone's experience is different, but for me, in the bigger context of the Witches Box, and those of you who follow the Witches Box in the deep dives with the specific box subscription and with the books and the different things that we're doing here, because now there are different groups doing different things together. I want to start weaving examples in of how to work with deities for these different aspects of witchcraft, because it gives you a beautiful, empowering, and transformative layer in different ways to the different things that you're doing. And I hope that that makes sense. That is why really I was called to this book, because it introduces a deity that you don't hear a lot about, and we will probably be addressing her in different ways throughout this next year. But that is why I really wanted this book to be part of this shipment for December. But I also want to give you an idea of what is available in this book. It's a teeny book. It's a fast read, but it's chock full with great information that I think can serve as a jumping off point for further education for all of you. The book covers the charge of the new Aradia, a call to Aradia. We have different great writers. So Laura's the writer and contributes to this book. Aidan Wachter has contributed to this book. Storm Fairy Wolf contributed to this book. Matt Auren, Phoenix LaFay, Christopher Penchak, Ray Schwartz, Misha Magdalene, Cassandra Johns, Devin Hunter, Ivo Dominguez, quite a few others have contributed. So Patty Wigington, we have used her books in the past and shared them in the box. So you have a lot of voices here, which I think is really great. You have invocations, again, rituals, recipes for oils and anointing products to help you with your work. You have history, the history of Aradia, ancient Greek method of purifying civic institutions and protecting their integrity. This is really beautiful work. And also, if you just have no interest in being political, it gives you, again, another perspective. This is what's going on in modern day witchcraft today. It behooves you to know your broader community and what groups you belong to, even though you don't think you're political. I would also say to you that all witches are political, because to stand outside of the traditional religious context of today's society is a political statement. You don't think it is, but it is, because you will be discriminated against. You need to understand where you stand. Understand where you stand in society. And I suppose that that is a conversation for another day, but whether you think you are political or not, chances are that your life choices are political choices, whether you want them to be or not. The personal is political. I am old school in a lot of ways, old school feminist, and every personal choice you make with your money, with your soul, with your body is a political choice. I'm telling you, don't ignore that. So what does that mean? That's not me pushing you to be political and go out and picket and go out and protest and go out and do all these things that feel uncomfortable to people, but it is a call for you to understand that every single choice you make as a witch affects change. It's a statement, and making statements in the world for what you believe and what you don't believe, for what you want, for what you don't want, who and where you spend your money and who and where you won't, sends out a rippling effect. Everything you do does that. And to do that means that you're weaving your opinion, you're weaving your intention, and you're weaving your stand in the world into the fabric of your greater society. We are not existing in a vacuum. Okay, this is a lot of lecturing today. I'm actually doing about 4 or 5 videos all in one shot today, because I have been reading up a storm. Those books won't be as emphatic in the way I speak. Maybe not. We'll see. I don't know. Okay, so I have read for you Michael's bio. This book speaks to both the history when Trump became president of the United States, the actions that he took, the groundswell movement that he created in putting together a spell to bind this person from harming the planet and harming underserved and underprivileged populations of this country. So you get a lot of really gorgeous history about what's happening right now, what he did to address those things. And before you get to that, he also addresses all the different instances throughout all of history, or at least as many as he can put in this book, where it was witches who worked and shifted the tide of different political movements in different parts of history. It is important that you understand your history, because just like you are part of an ethnic lineage, a racial lineage, a familial lineage, you are now, as a witch, part of the witches lineage, and it's important to understand where you come from, who you stand with across time and space in this world history. And this book gives you beautiful examples, intense examples of where witches have been influential or have tried to be influential throughout the course of deep, intense historical events throughout our history. Please read this book. This book has so much amazing information. So he goes into all of that. He goes into the toolkit for magical activism, offensive and defensive magic, witches. You need to understand the difference and why you would use one or the other or both. Magic beyond the altar, finding the others, coming in community building. There is a section here which I think is super important on self-care and resiliency, important for all of us, whether you are political or not. And then there is a section here on a little bit of a 101 in terms of preparation for ritual, different tools for ritual. So that is also included. And then there's a section on the magical activists spell book. So you've got quite a lot of really great spells here and things that you can do alone or together. So this book really comes up with a lot of information. It also brings up the topic that we talked about in the end of the month live Witches Coven gathering for this book club. And we talked about both books. Both authors were there, which was amazing and really an honor because they're both fantastic writers and what they're contributing to our community is really important. But he talks about hexing and he talks about binding and he talks about putting those in action as a way to take care of things. And people have a hard time with that. There are a lot of witches who do not practice hexing or binding or banishing. They think that it is a negative impact on others. People who follow the read don't do this kind of work. So he has gotten a lot of backlash. I think that having conversations around this is important, even though it's controversial. When is it okay to hex and when isn't? Some people think it's not. But his example is that if I were walking down the street with a family, my family, and someone came out to mug us or hurt us in some way, what would you do? Would you not fight tooth and nail to protect your loved ones, to protect yourself and to survive? It's no different. That's energy, that's intention, that behavior is a spell. Don't make the mistake of differentiating between your mundane, physical, mental choices and intentions and your magical workings and intention. It is all the same. They just run on a continuum. So his theory is, and his point is, that if you were going to get attacked on the street and you would fight to survive, it is the same thing with hexing and binding. If someone is destroying the planet, our Mother Earth, that which we are a part of, what would you do to protect her? What is okay? Is it okay to just let it happen? Wouldn't it be the same in some way to what you would do to protect yourself if someone tried to attack you? So it's a pretty intense thing to talk about because people have very strong opinions about this, but I think it's an important dialogue to have, and it's an important topic to explore. This book goes into that. For those of you who are not subscribed, we read the books throughout the month. We talk about it with one another. All of the subscribers who are reading those books together, we talk about it with one another in the forum. And then at the end of the month, we have a live Witches Book Coven gathering where the authors come, right? That happens live, but if you can't attend that, the recording is made available and it's listed in the forum. So those of you who are not subscribed, but do subscribe down the road, you will have access to that repository of videos so that you can go back and read the books that we have read in the past and enter into those dialogues with people who have read those books as well. And you can watch as a recording those meetings that we've had in the past so that you don't necessarily have the in real-time experience when we're all reading the book together that month, but you can go back and engage in all of that dialogue, all of that reading, and all of those videos when you subscribe. So that dialogue that we had with him I thought was very enlightening, very important. It's definitely worth checking out. If you subscribe moving forward, check those old videos out because there's a lot of information that is out there in those videos, as well as it adds a rich layer to your reading when you go in to read those books. I love that we have that. I feel so fortunate and I'm so grateful that we're actually able to offer that. So it's a great part of that. So all of this to say that I would read both of these books. I highly recommend both of them. Both amazing writers that we're going to be checking out in the future moving forward for whatever they're doing. And I recommend, no matter where you feel you stand on the spectrum of politics, I recommend that you read this just if only to educate yourself and be a fully empowered, fully in the know witch as to what is going on in our community today. Boom. There it is. There will be information on both books down below, as well as information on how to subscribe to the book subscription. It's a beautiful group of people. I love it. It is one of my many favorite things that we do here at the Witches Box. I would love to see you there. And if you've read them, please go ahead and comment below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. There will be more book reviews coming in the next week. I hope that you're having a beautifully empowered, still restful, and unlimited possibility-filled beginning of the year.